So Monster X versus Madara, right? So basically, we're gonna be saying that this is the same situation as my Monster X would wreck the Shinobi Alliance video, except we have Monster X with the Shinobi Alliance against Madara. We'll say that Tsunade uses a summoning jutsu to summon Monster X, and bada bing, bada boom, he's there, and he has to fight Madara instead of the rest of the Shinobi Alliance. Well, yeah, we'll just say something like that. He's either summoned or it's one of Itachi's protocols. I think it would pretty cool if Itachi gave Sasuke this protocol. Sasuke gives it to Orochimaru, and instead of the Kage showing up, we get Monster X showing up. So we'll say it's that scenario instead of, you know, a whole Tsunade summoning. We'll say it's one of Itachi's protocols just in case Madara came along. So without further ado, let's begin here. We'll be going through from Edo to Alive Madara, or from Edo to Ten Tails Madara, alright? Or Judara, alright? So, as usual, if you guys haven't known, or if you guys haven't watched Monster X Rex the Shinobi Alliance video, just go to my the Monster Museum playlist. It should be one of the first three videos. You know, it did pretty well in my opinion. I enjoyed it myself here, and it was one of the first few Naruto videos I actually put out on here. But anyway, without further ado, let's begin here. So to start off, we'll be using the movie Monster X, but we'll also be giving him the movie Ghidorah's versatility. Okay. We also will count the movie feats here, and we won't count anything above star level. So anything like universal and all that stuff there, we would not be counting here, as I actually don't consider Naruto to be universal. The highest they could get is star level, considering the fact that they would scale to Kaguya, who had enough power to destroy her entire realm, which would mean the planet and the star that's within her realm. Okay, so yeah, it would be star level. Madara also scales above the Biju, which have planet to again star level attack potency. Naruto actually used Shukaku's curse mark to pin Judara, who had, I would have to say, at least half the power of Kaguya at the time, or he wasn't fully powered at the time. So I definitely believe, he was, halfway there. So he used Shukaku's magnet release to paralyze Madara. And if you guys want to get into, um, you know, if I believe the Beedra star level, yes, I definitely can argue that, due to the fact that Kokuo's boil release was able to bust out of Kaguya's ice, and then Naruto was able to just like blitz and rip her arm off. There's also the fact that Naruto was actually using the Biju's abilities to literally fade Kaguya. It was absolutely ridiculous here. Then the fact that you would have Madara, who scales to Hashirama, who was actually able to subdue all the Biju somehow off panel. We saw how he did Karama, but we don't see how he does the rest here. So yeah, So we'll be doing that here, and we'll be starting with Edo Madara. Now, the first things first. Some of the things that won't work against Monster X would definitely be Madara's fire style. I do think Monster X will like casually push that aside. Now we get into the good stuff. Let's talk about the clones and the Susanoo, plus a straight up hand to hand fight here. Now, again, if you guys haven't watched the Monster X versus Shinobi Alliance video, Monster X will be human sized, okay, to make the fight more interesting. But when he goes into his Kaiser Ghidorah state, he'll basically be the size he was in the original movie. All right, so yeah, okay, we guys get that. All right, so Monster X against the full-bodied, or at least the first four-armed Susanoo that appears here. Naruto couldn't beat that with an Odama Rasengan, and this Susanoo was actually able to manhandle and slap away the 5 Kage. Monster X should be able to get through that through physical might here, considering Tsunade in her 100 healings form, which would still be lesser than Monster X in attack potency, was able to crack the Susanoo, followed up with a Raikage dash Anoki combo. He would have been able to get through that. Now, Madara also has Deep Forest Bloom, which was beaten by Naruto's Rasengan Barrage. Now, I could say, Naruto, out basically had the numbers advantage in that situation and beat it back here. And Monster X simply wouldn't have that. So, yeah, okay, let's argue that here. Monster X should, like any other Ghidorah, have his own manipulation techniques, right? Monster X can manipulate gravity, so he can basically stop the attack. What's more than likely to happen is Monster X will simply use his optic gravity blast and blast through it. Madara can also use his Susanoo's, dang, I actually forgot the name of it. It's like this blast attack that was actually able to penetrate a combination of Gaara and Anoki's defenses. Now, I probably shouldn't say that because it looked like Gaara's mother. So basically, he kind of... Yeah, I'm just not going to get into that. So we understand that it's a pretty powerful move here. That would get stopped. That would actually get countered by, again, the optic gravity blast. There's also the fact that Monster X can simply create a force field and it wouldn't be able to penetrate it. Now his second stage of Deep Forest Bloom is when he's able to create these poisonous or these flowers with pollen, which are capable of knocking out anyone who breathes it in here. Monster X really would be immune to that, considering the fact that one, he doesn't need to breathe in the first place. This is an entity from outer space that casually flies around it. And two, Monster X again will be able to destroy the entire forest with an AoE electric blast. I do believe his lightning would be able to cut through that like a hot knife through butter. And if not, he can simply blow through it with the optic gravity blast or burn through it, because Ghidorah has actually shown to have, fire breath in the past. Yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but if you actually watch some of the Mothra movies, you guys will understand it here. So, yeah, honestly, Monster X pretty much counters Madara pretty hard here. Now, what about when they get into that close confrontation like, the 5 Kage, or at least A and Tsunade were able to do here? Now we're going to actually use Madara's Renegon abilities. Sorry, I forgot to explain that here. But he should be able to overwhelm, the Susanoo. Sorry, Monster X should definitely be able to overwhelm Madara's Susanoo capability, if not flat out shatter it on the first blow, considering Tsunade in her 100 healings form, or her version of Sage Mode, was able to crack it still. Monster X would not only be able to blow through the Susanoo rib cage here, but would just tear through it and then grab Madara here. Now, what about Madara's other Renegon abilities? What about his, Soul Rip, his Chibaku Tensei, his Summoning Jutsu? So let's say Madara is able to use the Summoning Jutsu and summon Kurama, okay? We'll say he's able to take Kurama out of Naruto and, put him in the Genjutsu and summon him. Giant Monsters is pretty much Monster X's bread and butter. Bread and butter, so he should be fine with that. I only think the only problem he would have with Kurama is definitely maybe Kurama's versatility. Kurama does have the Kenka Genkai of wind release, and actually does grant that. He also has fire release, which is actually pretty insane here. And considering Kurama is the strongest of the Biju here, I would definitely say Monster X struggles with him, but is able to subdue and knock him out here. So, yeah, Monster X pretty much handles that and would definitely move forward here. Then, let's get into the petty stuff of Madara. What if Madara decides to drop 2 meteors on Monster X here? So, if he does that, Monster X has one or two options. Tank it, and he can. Shield himself, and still tank it. And, pretty much blow through the meteor. Or fly up, stop the meteor, toss it at Madara, and then tank the second meteor. Or pretty much just smash through the meteor altogether. Those would be his options. So Monster X could pretty much deal with the meteors pretty casually. There's also the fact he has anti-gravity beams. All right, he's able to literally just blast these type of things and just stop them cold. So this means he could basically throw them at Madara, basically like stop his own meteor and throw it at him. Oh yeah, so that would be some legit that would be hilarious to actually see. Like Madara summons a meteor, Monster X just stops it and just throws it back at him. Now let's talk about the real good stuff. What if Madara uses Chibaku Tensei and the soul manipulation? One, he one, he has to get close to Monster X to actually use the soul manipulation and, touch him. I actually doubt Monster X will actually let his soul get ripped out. There's also the fact that Monster X is pretty much can't have his soul pretty much ripped out. That's actually been a thing with Fairy Mothra, who's actually been able to soul manipulate people, but yet she can't do it to basically a weaker version of King Ghidorah. Yeah, I'm not gonna buy that at all here. Now let's get into the extra good stuff. 25 Madaras with 25 Susanos. Basically against Monster X here. Now that would be pretty interesting considering the fact that the 5 Kage were getting overwhelmed. May especially. Gara was actually able to block them pretty handily until they just kept wailing on him and eventually overwhelmed him. Tsunade and the Raikage were just busting them up and tossing them around. So honestly, yeah, they were just ridiculously overmatched and overwhelmed in that fight there. Okay, they were ridiculously just overwhelmed here and outmatched here. And this is when I think Monster X would definitely have to use his energy absorption. Not because he's getting overwhelmed here, but because the fight would have been prolonged to the point where I do believe Monster X would have seen Madara as a worthy appetite here. Once he starts using his energy absorption to get rid of the Susanos, this will give Monster X a potent power boost here. And this is when Madara pulls out the perfect Susano, and I think Monster X will go into his Kaiser Ghidorah state here. Kaiser Ghidorah versus Perfect Susano. Sounds like a very interesting fight here until you factor in the fact that Kaiser Ghidorah is going to eat him. Literally. He's going to bite and rip apart the Susano here. And then Madara will probably have to use Chibaku Tensei or Almighty Push. If he uses Almighty Push, he can definitely get some distance away from Madara. He can absorb the he can definitely absorb the gravity beams, definitely equalize that as well here. And then we have the fact that if he uses Chibaku Tensei, I do think Monster X would have been able to stop it, if not flat out manipulate it, considering it's a compressed gravity. It's like a gravity suction attack here. So, yeah, if he does Chibaku Tensei, which is basically drawing your opponent into like a gravity chakra absorbing field here, I do believe one or two things happens. Like the Nine Tails, Monster X busts out, or he turns into Kaiser Ghidorah and then busts out. One way or another, he's going to bust out of here. All right. So then we factor in Monster X's versatility, gravity beams, telepathy, teleportation, storm manipulation, energy absorption, energy redirection. All right. Let's see here. He can turn invisible. Actually does have poisonous gas here. He can actually create his own version of Chibaku Tensei, which actually forms a lot faster. He can trap Madara in a dome and suck out his life energy. He can create storms, basically. Yeah, I'm definitely going to say bigger than the Jubi Cataclysm. Oh, yeah, I think it would definitely have been bigger than the Jubi Cataclysm. Probably not lacking the first destructive blast output, but then again, still taking the Jubi Cataclysm. All right, that would be something here. I do think he would have yeah, he definitely would have been able to handle Edam Madara pretty simply and pretty easily here. I don't think anyone disagrees here. If Madara does, get an upper hand or something in the fight here, Monster X can actually simply, unleash a hurricane upon him. Unleash a hurricane, knock him back, then try to absorb the Susanoo. Monster X definitely has the means to do that here. Now, what about what about Sage Alive Madara here against Monster X? That one's definitely a lot more durable. All right, that's a lot more durable than even Edo Madara, considering the fact that he was hit with 2 magnet releases from a combination of Shukaku and Gaara. Considering Shukaku Sand is definitely enveloped in magnet release, this has been shown in the fact that he uses a sand mausoleum to trap Madara in this situation here. And Madara with his Sage mode would definitely have a better sensory capability than Monster X at this point here. As for durability, I think you can actually argue that Madara caught up slightly, considering he's taking attacks from, well, all 9 Biju. Took one from Shikaku, Isabu, Son Goku, Kokuo, they have Kamoe, alright, Kamoe the Seven Tails, Gyuki, and Karama, Saiken, alright, Saiken legit, trapped the dude in his sticky syrup. Then he gets hit with another magnet release, which should have pretty much paralyzed him, and he shouldn't have been able to breathe. And he's able to still use the Susanoo, and, then gets hit with a combination of Karama. Karama comes in, nails him. Then Gyuki joins in. Then all 9 Biju slam their tails on him at the same time. And he comes out with just a missing arm. Just an arm missing. Couple holes because of Shukaku earlier, but he's really fine. Like, dude ate that. Like, it's ridiculous. He ate the attack, no problem. Like, you even see the Biju shock, like, dude, how the heck did you survive that? Like, how did you even survive that kind of assault? Like, even the Shinobi Alliance are like, huh? What? You actually, you survived that? What? How? So, Sage Alive, Blind Madara against Monster X. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair and close fight here. Unless we factor in the fact that Monster X absorbed that Susanoo energy earlier and would definitely use it because, it's already a boost in power. So it basically would be, I think it would be an even fight there. Alright, I think it would be pretty much an even fight here. Then we have to factor in when he gets his Renegon. Now, the Renegon somehow was able to boost him even more here. Like, he got his Renegon back and was like, yeah. I'm gonna hit y'all with Limbo. Now, in close quarters combat, Limbo is definitely something that Monster X would not see coming. It would definitely have to prepare for. Yeah, Monster X actually does have good senses here, considering the fact that King Ghidorah was able to sense Godzilla in the Arctic when Godzilla, was approaching. So King Ghidorah actually does have some good senses here. So honestly, I gotta say that that's a pretty close matchup here, okay? But there's also the factor that if the Biju are just standing there, then let's say if Monster X, asks Hashirama for his Sage mode or his Sage abilities, and then Hashirama gives it to him, and then factor in the fact that he'll probably just absorb some of the Biju's abilities as well in that fight. I'm pretty sure if he's an ally of the Shinobi Alliance, they wouldn't have said no to this thing here. So let's say that happens, right? This equalizes a lot, or pretty much surpasses Madara by a lot here. So you have Monster X with Sage mode, plus the Biju's, abilities here. He's got Shukaku's Magna release. Imagine you see a blue static, coming off of Monster X. You see Shukaku's curse mark, on his arm, and he hits Sage Renegon Madara with that. He can use Matobi's flames, but honestly, I think Kokuo was the scarier one here. he could definitely use boil release to its utmost potential and not have any drawbacks. Imagine Monster X hitting someone with boil release, and you don't see that coming. I don't think anyone would. As for Judora, yeah, I think if he absorbs the Kenki Genkai or the abilities of the Biju, even then, it's a pretty close fight until Monster X uses the energy absorption. And if Guy and Naruto can pretty much cut through this, through the tree and stuff, yeah, I think he pretty much has this in the bag, you guys. He has his own versatility. Plus, you can factor in the Bijus as well. So, yeah, Monster X definitely takes this mid to maybe even high diff, you guys. So, this is Legendary Ghidorah. Please comment, like, and subscribe and share with your friends. And I'll see you guys later for another video. Peace.